Hey everyone, Spencer from the Military Money Manual podcast and militarymoneymanual.com, joined today not by my co-host Jamie. He's taking a little bit of time off to spend time with the family. But I got Chelsey here from Camouflage Perks on Instagram. That's CAMOU Flage, FLAGE.perks. And that's on Instagram. And she talks about military travel benefits, exclusive military and veteran travel perks, cruises, flights, hotels, activities, over 45,000 followers on there. And she is a wealth of knowledge on military travel hacking, military discounts, using credit cards, points, and miles to get some awesome vacations. Originally from Washington State, she grew up near Joint Base Lewis McChord, met her husband in the area. They've been married for 10 years now, 3 kids. She's a full-time mom when she's not running her social media empire. Again, it's instagram.com/camouflage.perks. Welcome to the Military Money Manual podcast.
Thank you.
I want to start actually with the next trip that you have coming up, because I think that's a great launching off point to talk about some of the military benefits I think more military service members need to know about, and military spouses especially need to know about.
Absolutely. So we're really excited. We're headed to Park City, Utah. They have a brand new, it's about 1-year-old Hyatt there called the Grand Hyatt Deer Valley. And it's set up kind of like an MWR, Armed Forces Recreation Center, except for this one is fully run by Hyatt. And so you get tons of perks and you pay based off your rank.
This is something I had never heard about, but it's similar to the Armed Forces Recreation Centers, which are run by the MWR of the various branches. So you might have heard of Shades of Green down in Florida outside of Disney World, the Halekoa, which is in Waikiki, Hawaii. There's the Edelweiss Lodge in Garmisch, Germany, and Bavaria, in the Bavarian Alps, where you can book very cheap rates and go skiing. South Korea's got the Dragon Inn. I think there's one in Japan as well. But these are essentially hotels that are run by the military, by the MWR, and military members can book them at very cheap rates compared to the local prevailing commercial rate. And so this is an interesting concept that Hyatt's doing. And I think they're doing it because they got access to some government land. But if you Google Deer Valley Salute to Service, you can see on their website on Hyatt.com more information about it. And they break it out into category ranks. So there's E1 through E6, E7, E9, O1 to O3, warrant officer to CW3, and then O4 to O10 or CW4 to CW5. Also interesting is 100% disabled vets and those holding veterans health ID cards are also available. So it sounds like a really awesome discount. And I just checked a random date in January, and for like the E1 to E6, you can book a room for $170 when the normal cash rate is $500 to $600. So anything else that you're excited about with this Deer Valley, Grand Hyatt Deer Valley discount?
Park City, Utah is amazing. I'm a little biased. My husband's from Utah, so we've spent a lot of time there, but it is a really cool area. And so they also have, this is not an IHG Army hotel where it's like bare minimum amenities. Like it is going to be so cool. They have several lounges, a kids club. They have a lounge that's just for military with like free food and snacks and drinks. And they have really gone all out to make it special. And if you go during the ski season, you can stock it with your Epic Pass, which is another just huge discount. I think that's where you get a lot of savings, is when you start stacking all of those together to make a whole vacation.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, 20% off food and discount. I think it's going to be a really great benefit for anybody who can get out to Park City to do some skiing, or even in the summer as well, just to take a break and get some hiking. And the other thing is you can combine this with the Epic Pass as well. What's the latest on that discount?
Oh, I don't actually know off the top of my head. Your discount is like, it changes. It's tiered based on when you buy it. So the earlier you buy in the season, like the bigger the discount you get. But you can, the Epic Pass military to the regular one, I think is like $1,000 difference if you're active duty.
It's $1,100 for just a 2025-2026 Epic Pass. And if you're booking an active duty one, wow, Epic military pass for active duty is $200. So yeah, it's saving. I mean, that's just, if you ski once in the season, it pays for itself. Same thing with the active dependent, $200 as well. Mm-hmm. And then
and retired is great.
Yeah. And then for veterans, so I didn't retire, so I'd be eligible for the veteran pass. And that's half off. It's $640. So that's a pretty good deal too.
The hotel there does offer like military discounted ones. So if you're only going to ski once, I might like compare Epic Pass versus the hotel's discount for military. But it's the best snow in the world, apparently. So either way, you should have a good time.
Yeah, for sure. One benefit that I've never used, but I think that you've got to use before, is the Armed Forces Vacation Club. Can you tell me a little bit about how that works and what successful trips you've had with that?
Yeah, so Armed Forces Vacation Club is pretty cool, especially if you are looking for, I think it's perfect for like families because it's like a sweet spot between hotels and Airbnbs where you have like most of their resort certificates. They kind of expanded where you can book like a Hilton hotel, but if you book a resort certificate, they generally have like a living room, a kitchen, and multiple bedrooms, all for usually the price, depending on what sale you can book it for, is about $400 for 7 nights. And so with multiple rooms, it's like a really, really solid deal. They have in a lot of different locations, like not just the US, but they have them internationally, mostly in like big travel spots. But it's basically like timeshare rooms that are empty. And so you get a huge discount. They are not like the fanciest hotel. It's not going to be like when you're using your buying hotels and resorts credit. But if you are like out and about all the time and you just need a comfy place to rest your head and maybe cook some meals, it's a great, great option.
Kind of the sweet spot you talked about there between like the Airbnb and a resort. You know, if you're traveling with like a couple kids or more than a couple kids, having those extra rooms and extra bedrooms and stuff and being able to spread out, that can make a big difference in whether you enjoy the vacation or not. And a lot of times all the kids want to do is jump in the swimming pool anyways, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So we went to one in Massanutten, Virginia, and it was awesome. That one is really cool because it's like a whole resort property. So they have tons and tons of activities like at the same location we're staying at, including like one of the best water parks in America. And they have like skiing during the winter. They have all sorts of fun things. And you don't have to sit through any like timeshare presentation, even though like that's kind of the rooms that you're occupying. But it's a really cool option, and they have tons in Orlando. And I haven't used their cruises, but they just have expanded to include like you can book cruises through them, and they're starting to do other things like an entire vacation package. So it's a really cool opportunity if that fits your budget better.
One other discount that we were talking about before we hit record was at the Atlantis in the Bahamas. Tell me about the roundabout way you have to go about booking that, but it sounds like it's a pretty substantial discount.
Yeah, it's huge. Okay, so don't go Googling this or asking ChatGPT, like, what's the military discount in Atlantis, Bahamas? So they're going to tell you it's like 20%, but it's not. You're going to go to any Caesars Reward location. They have 40 across the nation. You have to go in person. There's no other way. But you go, you show them your military ID. They give you their Veterans Salute card. And there is a number. Basically, you get like status with them. So you call the status number and you're like, hey, I want to book my free nights at the Atlantis, Bahamas. If you go in the off season, you get 4 nights. If you go during busy season, you can get 2 nights. And the room rate is waived. It's free. So you just have to pay taxes and then I think there is a small, either it's a resort charge or like a mandatory gratuity, but it's like 50, $60 a night instead of like 200 plus. And then you can get a card and your spouse can get a card and you can double up and have a whole big Bahamas vacation.
Yeah, that's awesome. That, there's always, it seems like there's like so many different, you could spend 10, 15 years active duty, like every vacation, just having a free vacation. Like, I don't know, have you done the Margaritaville cruise? I think that was free for military as well.
Yet. Yeah, you can go on so many. Like it used to be just one a year, but I think they've kind of changed and shifted the program and you can go on a ton of those. But yeah, we haven't tried that out yet. I'm a little afraid of cruises.
They're not my favorite either. I don't like being on boats to begin with, and being on a boat with a couple thousand other people. I just think, man, I didn't join the Navy. So when people find your content on Instagram and they reach out to you and DM you, what is like the biggest bang for your buck? The easiest wins, I guess, is what I'm trying to say for a military spouse. Where do you point them to? What do you have them do first?
Yeah, so my first step, if they're open to it, because I get they're like, personal finance is very personal and there's a lot of stuff behind that. But if you can and you feel comfortable opening credit cards, I honestly think that is the most flexible and best way to get started traveling for free, because stacking those points and perks with the other opportunities is going to really erase almost your entire like travel budget. Otherwise, like if you're trying to get to the Bahamas, you're going to be dropping, depending on where you're stationed, $500, $1,000 a ticket. But if you have points and you can use points to fly there and then stay for practically free, and you're going to have a lot more options.
Just a quick note from one of our sponsors, and then we'll be right back to the show.
It's no secret Spencer and I are both huge fans of the Thrift Saving Plan, the military's version of the 401k retirement plan. We've both been investing in the TSP for over 14 years and are thrilled to announce we've consolidated all the information you need to know into a new course called the Confident TSP Investing Course.
That's right. The course is a comprehensive guide to navigating the TSP, breaking it down to easy, bite-sized chunks that lay out the basics of the thrift savings plan, the funds available, and the investing strategies so you can build wealth while you serve.
We both know what it's like to be a beginner and to be overwhelmed with all the information that's out there about investing in the TSP. Head over to militarymoneymanual.com/TSP, Tango Sierra Papa, to find our simple breakdown of all you need to know. You get lifetime access, and we'll have a growing library of content. And one of my favorite parts about the course is that for every course we sell, we're going to be donating one to an E4 or below.
Yeah, I love that feature of the course, Jamie. So if you're an officer, an NCO, a senior NCO out there, and you purchase a course, first of all, thank you. And also know that you're helping a fellow service member, a sailor, a soldier, a Marine, an airman, a guardian, a Coast Guardsman, E4 or below, take one step closer to their financial success.
The link's in the show notes, or head over to militarymoneymanual.com/TSP, where you can sign up for the Confident TSP Investing course. Now, back to the show.
How did you first come to learn about annual fee waivers and military protections on the various cards, specifically for military spouses?
Yeah, so I'm going to sound a little bit dumb here, but when I got married, I had like zero credit. My husband was like, you have to open a credit card too. I was actually in school for hospitality management. I've managed hotels before. Like, I'm very passionate about hotels. And so I was like, you know what, I'll just open the Hilton card. Like, I'm going to open the Surpass, which is the mid-tier card. So I was like, I can pay for a small annual fee, but I don't want to drop a couple $100. So I had that card. We were using it for like pretty local free trips that were still like really memorable. But one year we were just looking at the budget and I was like, I think Amex has made a mistake. Like, I've not been charged my annual fee for like 3 years. I don't know what's going on. So I started like Googling. I was like, oh my gosh, like what is going on? And then I was like, oh, Amex waives fees for military spouses too. So my husband had a card. He had the platinum card because his friend was like, you have to get this, of course. But I just didn't know that fees are waived for spouses too until it had been a couple of years. And I was like, what is going on? So after that, I kind of went into a research black hole. And now here we are, like thousands of dollars of free vacations later.
I think that's how a lot of people, like, they sign up for a low annual fee card, and then they're like, why am I not getting charged the fees on this? And they don't even, because unless anybody tells you, it's kind of hard to realize like how deep the rabbit hole goes. Because a lot of times, like, you'll hear from someone like, oh, the Amex Platinum card is annual fee waived. And you're like, oh, okay. And so you open up that one card, but you don't realize that there's an Amex Green card, there's an Amex Gold card, and then there's all the co-branded Amex cards, and there's all the Chase cards, and there's all the Citi cards and Capital One. And oh my gosh, like, I had annual fee waived cards before, but it wasn't until I was in Oklahoma at a training event, and we had to like go around and like say a fun fact about ourselves. And one guy was like, my wife and I have millions of credit card points that we've gotten for free. And I was like, what? How? And he was like, well, the Amex Platinum card's annual fee waived. I'm like, yeah, so? And he's like, but it's waived for spouses too. So I send her my referral link and she signs up for a card. And then she sends me her referral link and I sign up for a different card. And we just like go back and forth. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. And I had been aware of it for 6 years, but I hadn't realized like how far you could push it and how far you could take it. And now, of course, like I meet people, like I saw a guy online the other day who had over 30 Amex Platinum cards between him and his wife. Like they went to Lululemon and spent like $2,000 and did split transactions across all the Amex Platinum cards. So that's kind of an extreme example, but like, let's say someone reaches out to you and they're like, hey, you're talking about free flights. What do you mean by that? What do you say to that person?
Oh, yeah. I would just tell them like, okay, so you're going to sign up for a card. And I always recommend starting with the Amex Platinum or the Chase Sapphire Reserve, since those points are a lot more flexible. Then I just tell them like you book, it's basically the same booking process. You're just going to go on to the airline that you want and you're going to use the calendar, and you can click like usually a toggle for points instead of for dollars. And then you just spend your points, and you usually have to pay airline taxes depending on what airline you're booking with. Then you just use your points, and my husband calls it monopoly money. You just use your pretend money to pay for your actual flights. And then, I try to help them pick, okay, what's your favorite airline? Okay, you're going to want to go with the Amex if you like Delta, because they're transfer partners. You're going to get a lot more from your points. And so just weighing those options and helping people one-on-one is probably my favorite, because like once you see that light bulb click, like you're saying, like it just like opens a whole world of possibilities that wouldn't have fit in their budget otherwise.
That's the big thing that I try to like encourage people to think about is this isn't necessarily about creating this like super luxurious lifestyle. It's about taking the very basic trips that you wanted to take anyways, but they're just going to cost a lot less. And so that means that that's money in your pocket that you can spend on groceries or put into a Roth IRA or invest for financial independence, or I don't know, just like pay your rent, right? Like the Chase Sapphire Reserve right now is 125,000 points when you spend $6,000 in the first 3 months. So that could be quite a high bar to meet, right? That's $2,000 a month. For some military families, that's not going to be appropriate. But if your expenses, your groceries, your gas, just kind of like your natural spending is already exceeding $2,000 a month on a credit card, why wouldn't you just shift your spending to this other card for at least a couple months, earn the welcome bonus, and then you can just go cash out those 125,000 points for $1,250. That's a good chunk of change right there. But like you were saying, you can just take it a little bit farther and just go to the Chase travel portal, ultimaterewards.com. And now you can get 2 cents per point. So all of a sudden, those 125,000 points aren't just worth $1,250. They're worth $2,500. And depending on where you're going, where you're coming from, how many people in your family, but that could be a round trip for 4 people somewhere in the continental United States or Hawaii or the Caribbean or possibly even Europe, depending on, like when the sales are. And right there, if your flights are extremely discounted or free because you're using the monopoly money points like your husband likes to talk about. And then when you arrive, your accommodation is extremely, is free or extremely discounted, then all of a sudden it's like, well, great. Now we can just we could spend $1,000 on food on this vacation. And that's it. That's our only expense, is just doing things and going out and having memorable meals and enjoying ourselves. And when we get back, the best thing about the points and miles game is that when you get back from these trips, you're excited to go do it again, because you're like, hey, actually that wasn't that expensive, because I used points or free night certificates for the hotels, or I stayed at an Armed Forces Vacation Club or whatever it is. There's just so many ways to save. I mean, a lot of times when I was active duty, it's kind of crazy, but my wife and I found that we actually spent less money traveling than we did when we were just at home.
It's so crazy. And yeah, now that Chase Sapphire Reserve, they're starting to get credits for food too. And we're going on our trip on Tuesday. So today I was like, okay, let me use my Dash Pass credits and I'm going to order, $40 of snacks for our trip for free. I get comments sometimes from people being like, no, stop sharing credit cards. This is why veterans are poor and in debt. And I'm like, no, yeah, I can use them wrong, but it can really, really open up your budget and give you money to actually save.
I think that's what I find too, is that a lot of people come with a scarcity mindset, or I don't have their lived experience, right? And so they saw their parents or a partner, or maybe they didn't have a good relationship with credit cards. And I get it, right? I was raised on Dave Ramsey. I understand that mentality. But if you're smart about it, and if you're the kind of person who can build a spreadsheet or can build a budget or can, just make sure that all of your spending is on a debit card, a credit card is the same thing. It's just a debit card that you just need to pay off. And you can even set up auto payments as long as you don't spend more than your checking account. It's very hard to get in trouble with these credit cards. And with the new Amex Platinum card refresh, $100 on Resi restaurants, I just went in the other day and I was able to, there's a great site called useyourcredits.com. And they have a map feature that shows you all the Resi restaurants near whatever location you want. But you can even sort it by if they sell electronic gift cards. So I was able to go in and buy $700 worth of gift cards and send it out to my family and just be like, here you go. Go get lunch, go get dinner. And it's on me because I'm overseas right now. I have no Resi restaurants near me. It's literally sharing the wealth. And for the average American military family, I mean, we're going through this week a government shutdown, right? And it's been going on for a while. And there was, it's still not entirely clear. We think that the October 15th paychecks are going to come in, but there's a big question mark there. And then is it going to be solved by the 1 November paychecks? Who knows? Well, having $700 a quarter of food access, I mean, that could be someone's entire lunch budget for a month. That's a huge cost savings right there.
Absolutely. We don't spend money on eating out. We just only use our credits. And then, all of that has allowed us to increase the Roth IRA contributions and max that out. And it can be really financially savvy to participate if you just have to have budgeting under control, and then you're good to go.
Okay, so you usually tell people about the Chase Sapphire Reserve or the Amex Platinum. The other thing about the Amex Platinum too that I think a lot of people can relate to is the $300 annual Lululemon credit now. And there's so many good people are complaining that the Chase Sapphire Reserve kind of became a coupon book, but the Amex Platinum has also kind of become a coupon book, but it's coupons that you can actually use. I mean, the digital entertainment credit is fantastic. Almost everybody has some streaming service that's eligible for the credit. And as soon as you put it on there, it's automatic. You don't have to do anything else other than enroll the first time. And then it just goes. So that's $300 a year that we're always telling people hey, watch your subscriptions. But if you have a subscription and it's free through the Amex Platinum card, that's the best subscription that you can possibly have.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we don't pay for subscriptions either. And we have Peacock and Paramount Plus through the Walmart plus credit. And then we have the YouTube and Disney, and we're not paying anything for any of that. You can use VetTix, and now there's going to be like StubHub credits. You just really can cut back on your budget without cutting back on your lifestyle.
That's the great message that like I would want a military spouse to hear, or a military service member to hear, is that you don't even have to use these cards to like take luxury vacations. You can just use these cards to lower your everyday living expenses. And if the idea of flying to Hawaii or the Bahamas or to a resort somewhere, like that just doesn't interest you at all, that's okay. Like you don't need to have these cards just for travel. There's so many benefits on these cards that you can use. Like if you go to the gym, if you ever watch any of these streaming platforms, you can save money on going out to eat. There's just so many benefits to these cards, and the annual fees are waived for active duty military spouses, Guard and Reserve 30+ day orders, and military spouses of any of the aforementioned military service members. So I think it really is a no-brainer, unless you are someone who struggles to understand how credit cards work. And like when I talk to people and they're like, oh, they lower the interest to 6% or whatever with SCRA, I just want to be like, that shouldn't matter to you. If we're talking about interest, we're playing a completely different game. Like if you have any credit card debt, like this game is not for you. So do you ever encounter that when you talk to people?
Oh, no, I haven't. I'm sure I will. But I make it very clear, like, and that's the other thing I let people know who are concerned that I'm spreading bad financial advice. It's like, okay, if I send someone a link, I have my first stop on my website is like, okay, here is how you're going to do this without getting into debt. I try to make sure that I'm not like sending an unclear message.
No, not at all. So Chelsey, any other success stories that kind of demonstrate the power of the military points and miles?
Yeah. So one of our most memorable trips was my husband was on his like second deployment in 2 years, and he was out in Germany. Whether you want to call that a deployment or not is usually a hot topic, but it was all the same to us. I had a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old at the time. And we actually used points, and we flew out to Germany. We actually flew first class because I was like, I can't hold both of them while they sleep. So we got the lay flat beds, and we flew out to Germany, and we got to see quite a few little countries. Not little, but we saw a few countries while we were there and got to see him, which really like broke up the deployment for us, and used points for the flights, like I said, and then for hotels. And that was probably our most memorable trip. And I love when I've been able to help other people go see their spouses on deployment.
I know there's going to be some Army and Navy people out there yelling, that's not a deployment. But for those of us in the Air Force, any time spent away from the family pretty much becomes a deployment, and the effect is the same, right? If the spouse is left at home with the kids. So that's that's fantastic. Like, even I was stationed out in Abu Dhabi in the Middle East for 2 years, and I was able to fly my parents out. At the time, it was extremely safe, and I was able to fly my parents out business class on Lufthansa, flying through Germany, completely on points. And so that was probably $8,000, $10,000 round trip tickets that I was able to get for like $5.60 taxes and fees. So it's one of those things where like if you start adding up like how much money you're saving versus paying the cash price, you're like, okay, like there's probably no other activity that can add as much to your budget as playing the military points and miles game, especially because you don't have to pay the annual fees.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Chelsey, thanks so much for sharing your knowledge on, like, I learned a lot about the Armed Forces Vacation Club, this Grand Hyatt Deer Valley that's opening. That's a fantastic option, especially for those who want to go skiing. Epic Pass, still can't believe how cheap the active duty and dependent spouse Epic Pass is for skiing this year. Any place you want to point people to where they can find out more about what you're up to in the next trip that you're taking?
I always post everything on Instagram, so you can find me there, camouflage.perks. I have a website too. It's just not as up to date, but it's camouflageperks.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and have fun on the your next trip to Park City. And hopefully we can have you back and you can tell us about the next military discount that you're hacking.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of the Military Money Manual podcast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to rate, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you listen to your podcasts. This helps others find the show, and we really appreciate it. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
The views and opinions presented here are those of the speakers and do not necessarily represent the views of the DoD or its components. Reference to any commercial products or services does not constitute DoD endorsement of those products or services.